Welcome to the Dog Trainers Podcast, a podcast created by dog trainers, for dog trainers, or anyone who's ever fallen in love with man's best friend.
Episode 26, Interview with Tommy Davis, Part 1. Well, I think that we can kind of like assume that it has a lot to do because, I'm not a huge YouTube channel, so I guess maybe I can't speak, but I'm a big YouTube watcher, so maybe I can, and I think I tell people this all the time. I was literally just talking about this last night. You can't bullshit people because they're smart. And I think that the problem today, everybody knows when they're being bullshitted, and yet everybody thinks they can bullshit someone else. It's like, no, just the way that they know too, and when the reason why the followings I think are smaller is because some people are all right with it. I mean, if the content's still there, I guess it's still valuable information, but most people aren't. And they're like, the good thing about YouTube is the competition of it all, of like, well, there's a dog trainer who can probably tell me the same thing, but Tommy Davis is more real. Let's just watch him. It's better. So I think that that's a big one. I wanted to bring up really quick. You seem like the kind of person like me that would appreciate. You ever heard of Andy Frisella?
Yeah. Yes, the motivational speaker.
Yeah, yes. I like him a lot. So anybody listening, if you're a no bullshit kind of person, I think you might like the MFCEO podcast. Andy Frisella is a cool guy, and then there's CT Fletcher, the workout guy, the older guy, and he he did he did a thing on Netflix or no, it was on YouTube. It was somewhere, but it's called like something to do with obsession, and he was talking about the word obsessed, and he was like, what does it mean to be obsessed? And people give the word obsessed such a negative taste, such a negative vibe, but honestly, and this is him talking. He's like, I'm only where I am today because I was obsessed with success, and I would take nothing less than that. And all the family, all the relationships, all the shit that didn't work out were trying to draw me from my obsession. And as much as I didn't want to lose that girlfriend, didn't want to break that bond, didn't want to, whatever, I couldn't help it because I'm obsessed. And the cool thing about it is, for all the people that may fall off, you find those that don't after. You'll find the person that's okay with it. Like my girlfriend is great, man. She goes to school and everything, and I'll be honest with you, we moved here a year or so ago. I'm very confident in myself these days as a trainer and my knowledge and everything else, but it's a new city, man. I'm not exactly like super balling right now. I'm still kind of building my client base and everything. And I think a lot of it has to do with just kind of my confidence and my calmness and everything, because I've been in this position before. But my girlfriend, my hat's off to her, because she's like, she trusts me, I'm like, listen, one day this shit is going to be super huge and it's going to be totally worth it. And I'm going to be able to take you on each and every one of those vacations that we can't do, because as a dog trainer, it's like, you never have time off. Dogs are at your house, so, so she's like, man, I want to go camping. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I want to do what she wants to do, but I'm obsessed. And one day we will get there. But that, keeping that clarity of mind and keeping that confidence in yourself, like we've talked about before, but just people who like that kind of thing. CT Fletcher, Andy Frisella, check it out. And always remember, you cannot bullshit people. Just be real.
And one thing I've learned is to talk about what you know. You got to talk about what you know.
Right.
You see so many people on the internet trying to be experts in everything, and it's like, come on, dude. Come on, you can't be experts in everything. You've been doing this for 2 years, or you've been doing it for 3 years, So it's really important. I mean, if we want to add value, like I know you probably don't give business advice, Tommy, but you have a lot of business experience that if you wanted to, you could have a whole
it would be
section of like a kid in their 20s building a business. Well, this is how you do it. This is what you don't do. You get what I'm saying? Because you could speak from your experience and what you know to be the truth. And so, my biggest passion in the dog training game is how do we make it digestible? How do we uncomplicate this thing that can feel so complicated, so that dog training can be more accessible and doable for the average dog owner, right? And I think when you have people who specialize in their lanes or whatever it is that really just scratches their own itch, right? Like sometimes you might have a person who's obsessed with the obedience, the tricks. You might have someone who's obsessed in the behavior mod. You might have someone who's just obsessed in body language as a language, right? And if those people who have these passions obsess over it, master it, have this expertise, then you put content out. Oh my gosh, the library of content that would be quality content is amazing. And it's funny because that's kind of what Tyler's doing with
Consider the Dog.
Consider the Dog, right?
Yep.
That's what Learberg was doing for the sports dogs, right? And it's talk about what you know, so that way you can add your bit of legacy to this dog training game and help as many people as you can.
Hey, can I ask you, do you know Sean O'Shea?
Me?
Yeah.
You're asking me? No.
Okay. Do you know of Sean O'Shea, the Good Dog Kennel? I ask because you guys had like the very similar story. I know it's kind of natural, like dog walker become dog trainer type thing. But yeah, I think he'd be a good contact to, we're trying to.
I've tried. Really?
They're busy, man.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I've talked to them a couple times. Like they're super busy. Jeff Gelman's another one.
Yeah, I tried to reach out to Jeff and Sean like 2 years ago, and they just, it is what it is. Like I don't think they even saw my message, so it's okay. But I don't.
Well, let me tell you this, because I just reached out to Jeff maybe a week or so ago, and I touched base with him again yesterday. And originally, it was more than a week ago. It was right around the time actually that we all had our initial talk. So it was our first time talking to you. And one thing that you said to me that day really resonated, because Jeff Gelman had just told me the exact same thing on Instagram. And it was, I try so hard. I really care to help as many dogs as I can. I believe it with you, with Jeff, with a lot of these guys, but you get so much flack that I keep my circle tight. He said the exact same thing, like almost verbatim, and I was like, man, there's got to be something to this, and I remember when we talked, I was like, bro, keep in mind, like, we're so happy that you're on and everything. And like, but we want you to know, we want to add value to you back. And I think that the way that we can do that, and the way that all trainers can do that, is just all that flack that you get for the different methodologies and whatever. Like, let us share some of that load, man. Like, I haven't seen anything that you've done yet that I disagree with in any way. So it's like, hey man, look, if you have a problem with him, I guess you have one with me too. And I don't have time to, like, I'm not suggesting people argue with randos online, but I'm just making the point that nobody says you have to eat that by yourself. You're not alone. It's easy for people to feel alone. And you're Tommy Davis. You're in a great position. So is Jeff. So is everybody else. But like, again, for the maybe the lesser known dog trainer, even real big guys, man, they deal with the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one thing I would like go back to about what you said about advice for future dog trainers is, shout out to my girlfriend Taylor too, which almost everybody that usually gets to me goes through her first. She's my filter. And she knew from day one, this is how this is going to go. You're going to be in the back seat for a long time. Now she's definitely not. And she, every day, she has to put up with my obsessive hustle. So it's here's dinner at 8:30 at night. Yeah.
Thanks, sweetie.
Definitely. And it's just like, it's not disrespectful. It's just like, she knows what she signed up for. So that's the other thing I would say, is just pick the same thing with my staff. My staff is extraordinarily supportive of what I do. The team around me that I've put together and pieced together is what makes everything work.
Right.
They're the yin to my yang. I say, I don't know how to do any, you guys do everything else I can't do.
Right. Well, that's delegation, man. That's what leaders do, and
it's hard. I felt really insecure about doing all those things, because I felt like I had to take on everything myself, because that's part of it. I grew out of that a couple years ago, but it was tough to let go of some of that control of your baby, your business.
Yep. And there's also an intellectual part. Like, there's a part that you're like, I like kind of learning about that, and I like learning about this. And so it's a hard thing to get rid of, that interest and also control. So I totally get that. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
Thank you guys for listening to part 1 of our 2-parter with Tommy Davis. We want to encourage you to stick around for part 2. We also want to thank Tommy for taking the time to hang with us here at the Dog Trainers Podcast, a podcast created by dog trainers, for dog trainers, and anyone who's ever fallen in love with man's best friend.
We really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we hope to see you back for the next one. But in the meantime, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Dog Trainers Podcast. Go ahead and leave a comment. Ask us any questions that you want. We would love to connect with our dog trainer communities all around the world. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.